Well, good afternoon and welcome to our webinar. It's Learn How Veteran Benefits Can Help You Pay for Senior Living. Today's webinar is sponsored by Autumn Leaves, Monticello West, Parkwood Retirement, Parkwood Healthcare, Signature Point, and Walnut Place. These communities are managed by Life Care Services, an LCS company. It's my pleasure to introduce Emily Schwarz. She's the president of Veterans Financial Incorporated.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to present this valuable information to you. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my screen right now. You can turn off yours as well. We are going to be recording this presentation, so if you want to turn off your camera, you can do that. I'm going to go straight through the information, so if you would just leave yourselves on mute, I will then be able to answer questions at the end. It's going to be about 30 minutes. If you would like to enter a question into the chat box, I will answer those first, and Teresa's going to read them to me. And then I will again stay on for any verbal questions that you have. I'm not rushing anywhere. So anything you'd like, I'm here to help you with. So let's get started learning about this benefit. All right, as Teresa mentioned, I am president of Veterans Financial, and I am co-founder of a new website called aidattendance.com. Both are excellent resources to help families understand and apply for the VA's aid and attendance pension benefit. This is a little known yet very valuable benefit that can help pay for senior living. As we get started today, I want to ask everybody that's listening to set aside any financial misperceptions you might have. And what do I mean by financial misperceptions? Well, some people come to this webinar thinking that they're either not eligible because their income is too high, or their assets are too high, or maybe both. And frankly, that's just incorrect. The cost of assisted living is a deductible medical expense for VA purposes, which can reduce or eliminate countable income. We all know that it is a deductible medical expense for the IRS, but you may not be aware that it also helps zero out your income for the VA. And I will demonstrate to you how that can get you a full benefit. Then there are families who have net worth above the asset limit. And you may think that the only thing, your only choice is to spend down or throw your hands in the air and say you're never going to get this benefit, it's unfair, when in fact you can use estate planning strategies in accordance with the VA regulations and become eligible for this benefit. So again, please just keep all of this set aside as we go through the 4 criteria, and I'll show you how it's possible for most folks to be eligible for this benefit. So you joined today to learn what these dollars are. How much money can the VA provide to you or to mom or dad? Well, in the year 2021, and the benefits do go up every year with the cost of living adjustment, these are the monthly maximum benefit amounts. And typically, this is what families can expect to receive. So a surviving spouse, usually the single woman, receives $1,244 a month. A single veteran, usually the single male, although recently I've spoken to 2 families of women veterans from World War II, which was also very cool. They get $1,936 a month. Then there are 2 married veteran amounts. I'm going to start with a higher dollar amount at the bottom of the chart, not just because it's so large at $2,295, essentially $2,300 a month, but because that's the one that happens most often. That is when the married veteran needs care himself. Now, his spouse can be moving along with him into the community. She can have care needs or not. She can be staying home or coming with him. Either way, the married veteran gets $359 more than the single veteran. Then there's a married veteran amount that even people who are familiar with this pension don't often know or remember. This is when the married veteran is healthy, but the spouse needs care. The spouse is moving into the community. The veteran can move along with her, but either way, he can apply for her care costs and receive $1,520 a month. Now, all of these dollars are paid tax-free, which means it's a grand total of about $15,000 to $27,500 a year. And remember, that goes up every year with the COLA. This money goes directly to the applicant. So that is the veteran while he's living, and the surviving spouse once he's deceased. The money does not go to the community. It goes into the checking account that you put on the application, and you mix it with other incomes to pay your monthly invoice. So, how do you get these big dollar amounts? Well, you've got to meet four areas of eligibility all at the same time: military service of the veteran, health of the applicant, net income after medical expenses, and family net worth. I'm going to go over all four of these today in detail so you understand whether you or a loved one is eligible. Before we dive into that, I just want to explain who Veterans Financial and aidandattendance.com are. So, Veterans Financial has been in business for 18 years, helping families with this benefit from the VA. In 2003, that's when the VA started recognizing assisted living as a medical expense that could be deducted against income. You can give us a call and I will provide you the number at the end of the phone call, at the end of the presentation, and you can speak with a live representative. Yes, we actually answer the phones live. There's no press 1, press 2, press 22. You actually get a live person and they will go through your situation and these four criteria in about 10 or 15 minutes. At the end of the call, we will provide you a application packet if you are ready to apply. We email it to you because it is so long. It is 32 pages for the veteran and 31 for the spouse. You can download and print it and then send it into the VA. Now, the problem with that is not only is it lengthy and takes quite a lot of time, you can also make mistakes, and mistakes can cause a delay or denial in VA benefits. And because of that, we've created a website along with a VA accredited attorney called aidandattendance.com. This is a technology company that can help you do your application online. And I'll show you at the very end two snapshots of what it looks like, or you can check it out after this presentation. Basically, it's like TurboTax and it helps you through the 32 pages of questions in a very easy to understand manner. Once you've answered all the questions, it will auto-populate those answers into the right spots on the application. You print it out for signatures and you mail it off to the VA. Those applications go through smoother and quicker because they're just perfect. So enough about us. Let's talk about you and the criteria. So the first and most important criteria of this benefit is the wartime service of the veteran. In order to be eligible, the veteran must have served at least 1 day of active duty during a period of war. You see the dates of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam on the screen. They are also on the homepage of aidandattendance.com. So if after this presentation you want to call mom or dad and find out when they served, you can double check it against that. Now, it doesn't say that you have to have served in the combat zone, which means you can be anywhere in the entire globe, even the United States, as long as you were active duty during World War II, Korea, and Vietnam and still be eligible. You also have to have 90 active days of service. Now, most people that went in during a period of war did not get discharged in less than 3 months. We do hear that occasionally, but that's highly unlikely. And some people don't have 90 consecutive days. The National Guard, the Reserves, and the Merchant Marines, oftentimes they get called up to smaller periods of active duty. And so those 90 days don't have to be in a row as long as you have a total of 90 and one of them is during a wartime period. Now, the veteran must also have an honorable medical or general discharge. Dishonorable will disqualify the veteran from the benefit. Now, I've only heard that twice, thankfully. All of this information can be found on the Veterans Discharge Papers, also known as a DD 214 form. If you don't have them, that's a great first step in applying for this benefit. You need to order them, which we can help you with. You can either find a way to order them on aidandattendance.com, or you can give Veterans Financial a call and we'll send you an email with some resources to do so. It can take a number of weeks or even a number of months. So that's something you want to start on immediately if you think this benefit might be for your parent. Also, surviving spouses have to apply on their most recent husband's service. So that means if the spouse was married to a wartime veteran and then got remarried to a non wartime veteran, she unfortunately is no longer eligible. You have to apply on the last husband's service. So now we move on to a criteria that's probably fairly easy for all of you. This is one of medical. So the VA wants to know, does the veteran or the spouse, or maybe both of them, have a physical or cognitive impairment that causes them to need to live in senior living? So the VA is looking on a 3-page medical form completed by the community doctor, a primary care physician, a nurse practitioner, a doctor from the rehab or hospital. It really doesn't matter. The VA just wants to know, does the veteran or spouse need care with 2 activities of daily living or have a cognitive impairment? So cognitive impairment is pretty simple. That's dementia or Alzheimer's. If you have one of those diseases, you need to live in a protected environment, such as a senior living community. Most people actually just need some help with activities of daily living. And the easiest way to qualify for this benefit is by demonstrating that you need help with bathing and dressing. Bathing and dressing is a simple shower assist. So if you allow an aide from the community to come in when you're taking a shower to make sure you get in safely, get out safely, and get redressed safely without slipping, falling, breaking a hip, and having a much bigger medical problem, that is enough to qualify you. That can happen once or twice a week. That's it. Now, you may also need help with other things like toileting, feeding, transferring, ambulating. All of those 6 count, as long as you have 2 of the 6. So the third criteria is all about dollars and cents. The VA is looking at the total income for the household and total care expenses for the household. Now, let's all make sure we're on the same page before we go into the equations. Income includes both Social Securities, both pensions, wages if one part of the couple's working, rental income if there's any properties that are being rented out, interest and dividends, any money from investments, and that includes required minimum distributions from IRAs. Any money that's coming in that can pay your senior living bill is an income. So what is a care expense? A care expense, first of all, offsets your income, as we talked about at the very beginning. So the expenses that count are assisted living, memory care, home care, nursing home care if you're paying out of pocket. So that's not if Medicare, Medicaid, or health insurance is picking up the tab, health insurance premiums, and prescriptions. Now, both parts of the couple pay for health insurance and prescriptions. And since they count both incomes, they also count both health insurance and prescription costs. Usually, the top 4 bullets are enough to zero out someone's income. And then I would recommend don't bother getting the documentation on your prescriptions. That's just more of a headache for you. But if you're not going to get a full benefit, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you in 2 slides, you will want to add your prescriptions onto the application to get the biggest benefit that you can. So here is what most people get. This is an income calculation for the full benefit. This happens when the income of the household is lower than the care costs, the medical expenses of the household. So in this scenario, the family has $2,000 coming in and $4,500 going out. The VA says they have a net income of 0. Really, we all know that they are actually short $2,500 a month, which they have to get from savings, a bridge loan, their kids, a reverse mortgage, somewhere. They have to find that money. But because they are at 0, the VA will award them one of the 4 full benefit amounts. So that's $1,244 for a surviving spouse, $1,936 for a single veteran, $2,295 for a married veteran who needs care, and $1,520 for a married veteran whose spouse needs care. Now you'll notice 3 out of 4 of those make up a big part of the difference, and the married veteran who needs care actually comes out ahead with a little bit of extra income. I want to point out that the entire cost of the community is a medical expense. So oftentimes we get asked, is it just the room and board? Or is it just the services? It's everything. The total bottom line at the bottom of the invoice is the care expenses that you can offset income with. So how do you get a partial benefit? Sometimes people get a partial benefit if their income is greater than their care costs. So if their income, for example, this is a single veteran, is $5,000, he probably gets Social Security and pension, but his care expenses remain the same at $4,500. Then the VA is going to say he has a net income of $500. He has an extra $500 that he's not spending on his medical expenses. Now, we all know everybody has other expenses, such as your cell phone bill, your cable bill, your newspaper subscription, you want to get your hair cut, new pair of pants. Doesn't matter. Those are not medical expenses, and the VA will not offset your income with them. So what they do is any positive number that you have at the bottom of the equation, they will take it away from the benefit. So in this example, this is a single veteran who can get 1936, but he's only going to be awarded approximately 1436. My personal opinion is don't leave money on the table with the VA. If there's anything else you can do to enhance your life or your loved one's life, I would suggest doing it. If you spend $500 more, the VA is going to give you $500 more. So it effectively costs you nothing. That might mean moving into a one bedroom instead of a studio, or allowing the community to help you with medication management instead of your kids, or getting an extra day of a shower assist or 2 days every week. You might as well. But if there's nothing else you want to spend money on, or your income is just too high, a partial benefit is still great. It's all tax free money, and you can always ask the VA for more in the future. If your income drops, which can happen if you lose a spouse or an IRA runs out, or if your care costs go up, if you just need more help, you can always go back and ask to be increased all the way up to the maximum. It's just a couple more pages of paperwork. So the last criteria is countable net worth. The VA wants to know about ways you can pay for your care before they want to help you. So this year's asset limit, you'll see in the blue box, is $130,773. I like to just say 130,000. It's a lot easier. So they ask you to document all bank accounts, CDs, annuities, IRAs, 401ks, mutual funds, real estate other than your primary residence, stocks and bonds on an 11-page financial disclosure form. That's one of the reasons why this application is so long. If your assets are above the $130,000 asset limit, the VA is going to deny you this benefit. There are absolutely ways to do planning in order to become eligible, and that's what we specialize in. So again, I don't want you to just give up. There are ways to investigate how to make this happen for you and when is a good time to apply. So what assets are not included? They don't include your primary residence. You can't pay your senior living invoice with a window or a door, and you can have up to 2 acres around the home. Anything more than that is considered real estate in the top section, and therefore the value of those extra acres could potentially push you over the 130. So that would be a situation we need to talk about. Now, your home doesn't count unless you sell it, and most people do sell their home unless one part of the couple is going to remain there. And that sale can cause you to go above the 130 as well, which I will talk about in 2 slides. There is a way to manage that too. Final expense policies. Some of you have already prepaid your funerals. If you have not done that, we highly recommend it, and Veterans Financial can also assist you with that. Not only does it protect the money from Medicaid, it protects the money from the VA. It also protects your kids from having sticker shock if you haven't prepaid your funeral and now they're stuck with a $10,000 or $15,000 bill that they didn't predict. Lastly, vehicles and personal property, they don't ask about them on the application. If you have them and you're going to sell them and you get a windfall of money, that will go into your bank account, which of course could potentially cause you a problem, but we don't often see that happening. So if you are fortunate and you have that great problem being over the $130,000 asset limit, you're wondering, is there a look back period? There is. There is a 36-month look back, which means on that 11-page financial disclosure form, the VA asks you, have you made any gifts of any assets in the past 3 years? If the answer is yes, they want to know the date of the gift and the size of the gift. And based upon that, there is a calculation where they will determine how many months you are not eligible for this benefit. And unfortunately, that number can be as great as 60 months, which is 5 years. So they only look back 3 years, but they're allowed to penalize you from the benefit for 5 years based on any gifts that you've made. So if you mistakenly apply with more than 130 or the asset limit for that year, because again, it goes up every year, or improperly gifted any assets without advice from someone like us to tell you how to do it and when to apply, you really can be penalized for 5 years. It's not a very high threshold, unfortunately. So with proper planning, some families are eligible immediately, while others do have to wait 36 months to apply. That's why it's important to start thinking about this planning as soon as you've learned about it, because you may have a waiting period before you're eligible. And we want to get you on the benefit as soon as you can, because that'll slow down the spending from your savings. Now, if you're going to sell your home, that can potentially cause you a problem because most homes sell for more than 130. So if you are going to do that now as you're moving into the community, 3 or 6 months from now after you fix up the home and put it on the market, or 3 years from now when you're going to exhaust all of your other assets first, you really need to talk with a VA accredited attorney, and we can help you connect you with someone that we trust so that you are able to protect the home and the future proceeds. We don't want you to sell your house for $300,000 in 3 years and lose the benefit when the VA finds out from the IRS that you got $300,000. So now I'm going to give you two examples. The first one I like to call diminishing funds. This is the story of Mary. She is the widow of a Korean War veteran, so she's got the military criteria. She needs help with activities of daily living, so she's got the medical criteria. And she's been in assisted living residence for 2 years, so she's spending her income on her care, the income criteria. Now, as a side note, notice she has been living in the community for 2 years. She has lost out on $30,000 of benefits by not applying when she moved in. So if you have parents already living at the community, you need to get on this application immediately. If you're planning on moving in shortly, you want to apply the same month that you move in. Otherwise, you will have lost money like she has. She now has $75,000 remaining in savings because she's been spending down, and she only has $1,800 a month of income. Every month she dips into her savings $2,850. So she's going to run out of money in 26 months. She's been there for 24 months. She gets 26 more months. She will be out of the community in 50 months, which is just slightly over 4 years. And we really hate to see that happen. So if we get her on the benefit now, better late than never, we're going to get her an extra $1,244 a month. And now she only has to dip into her savings $1,606 a month. Because she is slowing down her spending, she gets an extra 20 months at the community. This benefit will afford her 46 more months instead of 26, and she's already been there for 24, so that's a grand total of 70. So she will get to live in the community almost for 6 years. Now, this is a story of high income and high assets. Joan and Jack are considering senior living because he has beginning stages of dementia. They're relatively young at 81 and 80, and the family's worried how long they can afford assisted living if they move in now. They have $100,000 in savings and a home valued at 180, which they are going to sell, so a grand total of $280,000. Luckily, they have good income of $3,600 a month. But for both of them to move into the community, Jack in memory care and Joan with him, it is $5,750 a month. And Joan needs $1,000 of spending money for things like their health insurance, their prescriptions, to go out to lunch with her friends, get her hair done, give birthday gifts to the grandkids. So a grand total of $6,750 is going out every month. As I mentioned, the family's having second thoughts about letting them move in. So now we're going to look at how the equation would be without the benefit and then with the benefit. So without the benefit, you see they're dipping into their savings $3,150 a month. They will run out of savings in 7 years. I know that sounds like a really long time, but it's not for Joan because Joan will be 87 and have no savings left. If they get on the benefit now, they're going to get almost $2,300 a month because Jack is a married veteran, and their shortfall is only going to be $855 a month. Now their money's going to outlast them. It's going to go for 27 years, and unlikely for Joan to be 107. By implementing estate planning strategies in accordance with VA regulations, Joan and Jack can be eligible almost immediately for the $27,500. Jack's care is going to be paid for by income rather than by savings because they are going to increase their income 63% every month. And now the family has peace of mind so they can move in and enjoy the next stage of their lives. So as I mentioned, I'm going to do 2 slides of frequently asked questions, and then I'll see what other questions you have. So you can start entering them in the chat box if you want, and Teresa will read them to me. The average approval time is about 3 to 6 months. If you do it by pen and paper, the average, I would really say the exact number is about 4 months. That's because it's sometimes difficult to read people's handwriting, or you fill out the application incorrectly, you miss a box, or you check a box you shouldn't have. The VA then sends you a more information letter. If you get a more information letter, you have to reply with a letter. Every time you go back and forth, that's an extra 6 to 8 weeks of processing time. If you use the software on aidandattendance.com, it will greatly decrease that. We are seeing applications go through in 45 days or less because they're perfect. There's nothing for the VA to squabble about. It will just go through because you give them what they need to approve you and they have nothing to ask you. Benefits are paid retroactive to the first of the month after the application is received by the VA. So what this means is if you apply by the last business day of the month, so this month that happens to be Friday, January 29th. If you open your claim by Friday, the VA will owe you money starting February 1. If you wait until February, any day in February by the 26th, which is the last business day, they will owe you money starting March 1. So delaying can cause you a loss of $1,200 to $2,300 in benefits. You can easily open a claim by filling out an intent to file form. It's a one-page form. I know you only have 3 days, so it's unlikely that this group is going to get their applications completely done in 3 days. So you can do an intent to file form. That is also on our website at aidandattendance.com. It is a one-page form. If you meet all of the criteria, not if your assets are too high, you can complete that form and that will open your claim effective February 1. The VA does not recognize a power of attorney signature. So I'm sure we have POAs on the line. Excuse me. Claimants must sign their own application or at least an X. Give me one second. Sorry, I've been talking for a long time. Okay, I think I messed up my screen here. Hold on one second, everyone. Okay, not so professional. Sorry about that. A POA cannot sign their own, cannot sign the application. The veteran or the spouse must sign their own application, even if it is chicken scratch handwriting or an X with 2 witnesses is acceptable. A veteran that is receiving disability compensation cannot receive both disability and the aid and attendance pension. The VA will pay whichever is greater. So if you are a veteran or you are the child of a veteran who's already getting money from the VA, we need to know what it's for. Likely it is disability compensation for getting hurt in the line of duty, and the VA will not give you both. So if you are at 80, 90, or 100% disability, you're probably already getting more money than this benefit provides. And unfortunately, there's really no point in you applying for it. If you are at 70% or less, which we do see quite often, we hear a lot of hearing loss at 10 or 20%, you can apply for this benefit, but just know once you're approved, that small amount of money will stop. You are still a disabled veteran. You get all of the healthcare benefits that go along with it, but you don't get 2 monetary payments. If your care is being paid for by Medicaid, the VA will award you this benefit, but only give you $90 a month. So if some of you have to transition down the road from aid and attendance to Medicaid, from private pay to Medicaid, you need to let the VA know and they will reduce your benefit amount. If a spouse is divorced from a veteran or remarries a non-wartime veteran, as we talked about on the military criteria slide, unfortunately, they are no longer eligible for the benefit. You must be married to the veteran at time of death in order to be eligible. So in conclusion, you can give Veterans Financial a call at 800-835-1541. I have staff available right now if you want to call after this webinar and assess your own situation and get an application packet. This is the first page of the veteran application, just to give you an example of what it looks like. This is the easiest page because it asks you name, social security, date of birth, and address. Gets more confusing and increasingly difficult from there. It's kind of a doozy looking, right? So that's why we created aidandattendance.com. You can go there after the webinar and take your own free eligibility survey. There's a button that says, see if I qualify. It asks you 14 questions. You'll see how far along you are with a little a bar across the top. It's not very long. It takes about 5 minutes. And then it'll give you a report at the end of whether you're eligible, for how much, and if you're not eligible, why, and what you can do about it. If you are eligible, it's going to encourage you to move forward to the application software. There is a cost of $99 to use the software. It's, as I mentioned, very similar to TurboTax, both in use and in price. It's good for 3 years. There is no other fees that you would incur in the future. This is it. You can even have multiple children work on the application. You'll see there's tabs across the top. Sometimes one person is better with the military and the health, and other people are better with the financial, and that's fine. They can both use the same username and password to get in and complete their tabs. Once the boxes and buttons and bubbles are all checked and ready to go, you would be allowed to print the application. It will not let you print if you've missed anything or you've made any mistakes. You do print it because, as I mentioned, the veteran or the spouse needs to sign their own application. The senior living community signs 2 pages of the application, and the doctor signs 4 pages of the application. Then you mail off the packet with supporting documents to the VA, and likely in 45 days or less, you are going to see a deposit in your bank account, sometimes before you even get the award letter. And with that, here is our contact information if you want to write down our phone number or our website. I know that you'll be receiving our brochures after this webinar, and I am ready to see if there are any questions in the chat box. Let me turn my camera back on.
All right. Thank you, Emily. We appreciate that.
My pleasure. Sorry about the little coughing fit there.